So right off the bat, I want you to know this one thing. The advice and the investments I'm about to tell you about that are terrible for you, I got these recommendations from people that legit cared about me and actually love me. Friends, family, even my professors, people that cared about me gave me this terrible advice, which I will share with you so that way you don't take the advice, okay? However, this should tell you two things, okay guys, that bad advice doesn't always come with bad intentions or malicious intent. No, it might come from the people that love you most, but the advice is trash. And second, just because you look up to someone in one aspect, like, wow, my friend is so cool, he's good at this and that, or my professor's so amazing at this and that, don't think that that one thing transfers into, hey, they must be a whiz at investments and finance and personal and all this stuff, okay? They might not be. Odds are they're not, all right? So you always want to verify everything. So as my first real mentor actually told me, he said, don't believe anything I say, go out there and try it out, verify it, and then you'll know, because it just works, okay guys? So just like that, don't believe anything I say, go out there and try it, and you'll know what I'm saying is actually legit. On top of that, guys, if you guys are new here, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified, and what is good, long-term team, as you guys know, smash the like button. It helps a lot with the channel and all that good stuff, okay guys? Now, the very first thing that you don't want to invest into because it will keep you poor. And by the way, if you guys don't know, my name is TommyBryson because I did not mention that. So the very first thing that you don't want to invest into because it will keep you poor, trust me on this, is actually relationships, okay guys? Now, before you say, Tommy, what the heck is going on here, okay? Relationships, in the sense that subconsciously, a lot of us tend to ruin ourselves financially in order to maintain not so great relationships, okay guys? Now I say subconsciously because in reality, I don't see anyone consciously saying, hey, I'm gonna spend 50 bucks for Brenda today and I'm gonna get 5 or 3 best friend points, okay? So it's not really like a conscious thing, it's more like subconscious. So for example, when Brenda says, let's go to a sushi buffet, let's go on this trip, let's go to this concert, let's go to this club, and you might be in a budget, but you might still say yes. And then you go, you have fun, you come back home, you feel bad, and the consequences only hit you and not Brenda, because now you're the person that's broke and it's hurting you. But you don't want to say anything because you feel like, what if that person won't like me? What if they say that I'm cheap? What if they judge me? And by the way, I've seen this go to a crazy extreme. I used to know this girl in high school and she was smart and her friend wasn't that smart, for example, like grade point average wise. And her friend didn't get accepted to a nice college, but she liked her friend so much that she went to the bad college just to be with her friend. Or people that move into neighborhoods with their friends just for the sake of being around them, but in reality, they can't afford to live there. Or go on a crazy vacation to be with their friends, but they can't afford to do it. Take this advice from me to you. Invest into relationships with people that want the best for you. And they are not gonna want for you to make these crazy gestures because it's not really good for you, okay? And not just that, but these people that actually care about you, they will tell you when you're messing up. And sometimes you'll get mad about it, but they're being honest and they're being real with you. And that is what matters. Transparency and just real, authentic friendships. So a good way to test your friendships is if you can't afford to do something, start saying no. Start saying no and see the reaction that you actually get. Is it positive? Is it understanding? Or is it judgy? Or do you get called cheap? Or whatever it is. So guys, that's how you kind of test things out and you see exactly how people actually are. Now, number 2, and by the way, I don't mean to say that it's not okay for your friends to call you cheap in a joking way, but you can tell when it's jokingly and when it's like, it's kind of going too far, okay guys? Now, the second thing you don't want to invest into isn't to a credit card because it might actually make you broke. Now you might say, Tommy, a credit card isn't an investment. It's just a payment method, obviously, okay? Now I agree with you 100%, but that's not what they told me, and most likely not what they told you either in college or commercials targeted at college students or young adults a lot of the times. What they told me, my professors included, they told me, Tommy, a credit card is impeccable. It is super important because it helps you build credit, and without credit in this country, you can't do anything. You can't buy a house, you can't buy a car, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need one. So a few years later, after getting some credit cards and stuff like that, I had a higher credit score than my professors and also my parent of around like 767, which is, by the way, an excellent credit score. And I also got some cash back of around 260 bucks. And you know what they're saying? You never leave any money on the table. However, I got slapped in the face like this by an old man called Dave Ramsey. And one thing about me, guys, is I really do stand by this very firm. If I say something and I believe in something and you come to me with a logical explanation based on facts and research, I will take the time to research what you're saying to confirm that my thoughts still hold up. Because if I don't do that, I will stay stagnant, and that's not who I want to be in life. So when Dave Ramsey slapped me in the face, I was like, let me do some research here and find out what this old guy is talking about, okay? And then I found out that, hey, I don't need a credit card to build credit, to buy a house, okay? Because all I need is a good income and a history of payments like my rent payments, utility bills, and so on, and that is going to be enough for them to build their own history. Number two, although I made 260 bucks, right? To make that, I had to spend around $13,000, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. And not just that, because I was like, well, if I was going to spend the money anyways, doesn't matter, it's money I would have left on the table. But then I found out that according to research, a study that was done, people tend to spend 18% more when they use plastic, especially credit, than they would if they use cash. Because whenever you spend cash, you feel that pain receptor in your brain saying, hey, you just spent all this money. But with a credit card, it's more like swipe, 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 and you really don't feel it. Now, my response when I found out this was kind of like, yo, that's not true. I'm not average. That's not me. So what I did was, again, don't believe anything I say. Just run a test, okay? See how much you spend with cash. See how much you spend with a credit card. And see also where you are financially. And that is going to reflect exactly what's going on. For me, one thing I did correct about the Dave Ramsey thing with credit cards is that basically I still have 3 or 4 credit cards, but I don't use them. What I have is, for example, each of them has a bill that I have permanently. For example, I love Disney Plus, Netflix, I'm not gonna cancel it, and also my phone bill. So I have those fixed bills that I have them each on one of those credit cards. They get paid off every month in full, right? So I'm not overspending or anything like that. I'm not actually using it. I don't have it in my wallet either. And what happens is I maintain and actually build a stronger credit score over the long term. But Tommy, you don't need credit to buy a house. Yeah, but it makes it a lot more easier when you're gonna talk to a bank and not trying to explain, I don't have credit, I don't believe in credit. It just makes the conversation a lot more simple. So having that credit score like this, without costing me any money or costing me any like brain power, is just a lot more simple for me, and it's what works for me. So again, test things, improve things, and make sure logically it actually makes sense. So again, credit cards are not a good investment. And how the heck do you get rich paying somebody 24 to 35% in interest? The answer is you don't. The third investment that if you make will keep you poor forever is education. And the logic is that, well, education is always going to be a good investment because no one can take it away from you. It just is what it is. However, they also say when you go to college, just follow your heart and pick a career and then just go for it. And it doesn't matter if you get into 100K in debt because you'll make the money back. Terrible advice. I got that advice from my mom, partially, by the way. She was like, pick a good career, obviously, but don't worry about the debt. Terrible advice, okay? And by the way, I spent more time picking out a pair of shoes in the morning than I did picking my major in college. I'll be real, embarrassing, yes, but it's the truth, okay? I did absolutely no research. I got lucky I picked accounting, all right? My friend, though, didn't get that lucky and graduated with a bunch of debt. The truth is that, I'll keep it short and sweet, college is not for everyone. And it's also not a heart decision like, I love my wife, I love my family. It's not that. College is a financial decision. So when you pick this career, of course, make sure you like it. Notice I said like. Make sure you're good at it and make sure it's gonna make you a good amount of money. So the ROI is actually solid, return on investment, because yes, you can calculate and you can put a price on education, because if I go to college and I graduate with $100K in student loan debt and I only make $10K more than I would without going to school, I'm not going to school. It makes no sense. That's the idea, okay guys? So yeah, do your research. Make sure it actually makes sense for you and make sure the degree is going to be solid. And for the sake of Jesus, the Lord, just make sure, for example, that you don't go to a fancy private school and pay these crazy prices to go to parties that you're not gonna remember by the time you turn 30 years old. It just makes absolutely no sense. Don't be afraid to go to the state school. When you get a job, honestly, people care about your skills. You know that? They don't care, oh, I went to Harvard, and by the way, most people don't get accepted into an Ivy League school, so that's kind of like unrealistic. Most people just go to a fancy private school that people don't really know about that much, honestly, and they pay outrageous prices, and then they graduate with a bunch of debt and gotta figure it out. And people keep that debt for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and that's how it keeps you poor, because that could have been going towards your IRA, retirement accounts, your investment account, all that good stuff. So my advice is, when you're in college, you do it the right way, make sure you also have a job. And that way you use all that money to pay for the school and you graduate with little to no debt or no debt. And that is awesome, honestly. It really is. And guys, number 4 here, and by the way, I'm just giving you 5, and if you make it all the way to the end of the video, I'll give you like some bonuses. But number 4 is a car. A car is a good investment, especially when you buy it brand new, because if you buy it used, who knows who had that car before? Who knows what it did to it? And it's probably going to be unreliable and no warranty, but in reality, it's all fake news, okay? It's just not true. Like, let's be real here. And in reality, I did some research and I found out that the average new car payment is around like mid $500. Average used car payment is around mid $300. And once you're done adding up, for example, parking expenses, maintenance expenses, also insurance and gas, it's nearly up there to like $1,000, okay? And by the way, if you know how much the average American basically makes, that's basically almost a third of your monthly income. And if you buy brand new, by the time you're done paying for this car in 5 years, you just turn $35,000 into $20,000. It's crazy. So how do you become rich with this mindset? It's something that's gonna keep you back from building wealth for a long time if you keep this up. So what do? You buy a used vehicle that you can afford to pay cash for. That might mean $1,000 starting out, then $5,000 later, and then as you build more wealth and you have the money, maybe $20,000, okay? That's the idea. And then what do you do with the difference in money you would have paid towards car payments? Put that money into your Roth IRA or your retirement account, and you will see the massive difference. That's how you turn $35,000 instead of $15,000 or $20,000 for the car. You turn it into a few tens of thousands of dollars in a few years with investing. That's the amazing thing. But a car, anything with a motor and wheels, usually gonna go down in value and usually not gonna be an investment, especially yachts. If you have like that type of income to buy a yacht, people only like 2 days. People only have 2 good days when it comes to having a yacht. The day you buy it and the day you sell it, because it's that much money that's actually spent on maintenance. It's absolutely insane. If you're curious and watching me for the first time, I drive a Toyota Prius 2014. So yes, I do follow what I preach. And lastly, guys, number 5 is a house. You ever heard the advice, and I got this advice countless times, a house is the best investment any man or woman can basically make, and if you spend money on rent, you're basically throwing money away. And you usually get this from people that own homes and are basically struggling financially a lot of the times, or people that don't have a home and just thought that, hey, that would have been the perfect fix to my financial life. And in reality, it probably isn't. The truth is that Although a house is a pretty good investment, because in reality, it's very hard to mess it up, because most likely that real estate is going to go up over the long term. That's why they say it's kind of like this great investment. However, the way I see a house, me personally, is less of an investment and more of just a security asset, okay? Because once the home is really paid off, it does give you that security factor that, hey, I own a home. I don't have that many expenses, because let's be honest here, the average person is spending like at least a third to half their income on shelter costs. It's a lot of money. But the reason I say it's not really that great of an investment, because basically once you factor in, for example, taxes, insurance, maintenance, remodeling stuff here and there, and everything else, and also HOA potentially, once you factor in all of those things right there, you might have just done better by investing that money into like an index fund or your retirement account. But the issue with just doing that, investing into a retirement account, is that if when the time you actually need that money, the market goes down and you lose your job, you're screwed over, right? Because you got to wait it out. But if you have a home and it's paid off, it gives you that security factor. So yes, I'm still buying a home. I'm going to pay it off fast. And the big thing is, make sure the home you buy, you can actually afford it. Don't try to be fancy, and don't try to buy your dream home, because in reality, on average, people move every 5 to 6 years. If you don't believe me, read the stats. So if you think you're buying your forever home, most likely you're not. You're probably going to move. And if your mortgage, insurance, taxes, maintenance, and everything around this house costs you more than a third of your income, you're probably going to be in trouble on a 15-year mortgage. The goal is to own a home. I mean, you're buying something for 30 years, half your income or fourth of your, it gets crazy there. So that's not what you want to do, because all that money could have gone towards more investing and building up more wealth over time. And that's why it can keep you poor. I know people with nice homes, they're super poor because all their money goes towards their home payment, okay? And it sucks. Now, guys, that is it. But if you are a part of the long-term team, comment down below. You guys know I was giving you a little bonus at the end. And the bonus is 3 more, but I want you to do research independently on these ones, okay? So I'll go over them very fast and quickly to avoid making this video too long. And these 3 are basically neighborhood. The neighborhood you live in is going to be a huge factor on your wealth development, because if you live around very kind of like, you know, like richy people, you're going to probably spend a lot more money than you would if you lived around teachers and normal working people. Something very important. I consider that, and I am going to live around normal people just like I am, nothing too fancy, because it gets like, you know, that like, oh my gosh, the Lexus is parked there, this house has that. It kind of gets to you. Second, whole life insurance versus term insurance. Look that stuff up. Insurance is important, but paying crazy premiums is not that good, okay? So I do term life insurance. Third, hands-off investing. If you are investing with someone that is managing your investments for you and it's costing you more than 1 to 2% like a year, it's too much money. It eats up around a third of your whole gain. Do research on that, okay? So you want to keep that management fee a lot lower. Fourth, learn Parkinson's law. It's going to teach you how to build wealth, because most people, the more they make, the more they spend. And it always moves like this, okay, guys? So the more I make, the more I spend. And you want it to move like this. The more I make, my expenses stay the same. And once I'm financially free, I can go ahead and increase it a little bit. That's the big difference. And lastly, Murphy's Law. Learn about this. It's going to impact your wealth building factor. Basically means, okay, whatever will go wrong or whatever could go wrong will go wrong. So you prepare for it by having an emergency account. But guys, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Love you guys a ton. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified. On top of that, follow me on Instagram, TommyBryson, or send me a DM over there, or just call me, link down below. On top of that, more content here, and my face is here. Click it, subscribe, long-term team, out.